Another drive, another video. Again, just trying to match my French content with my English content. So one thing I talked about end of last week, I went to MotionLab, which is a training center, training and rehab facility in Lausanne here in Switzerland, close to where I reside. Very, very nice training center. I'd done a podcast with Mathieu and Alex. Mathieu, one of the founders, and Alex, one of the physios working there. A very fun podcast in French, sorry, about all things rehab, especially all the medical issues that can exist and that do exist, unfortunately, in the world of youth sports. And talking about hockey players, young hockey players in their teens getting hip surgeries, preventative hip surgeries, which is just those words don't go together in my opinion. But anyway, that was a really fun podcast with those guys, and I was lucky enough to go there again on Friday, and they have an altitude chamber, so that was fun. They were interested in learning more about the Moxy monitor, so I went and did a training session there. So what we did essentially is they wanted to see the different reactions at altitude. I think that's probably one of the areas where the Moxy can be the most interesting, because once you understand the trends and a given profile for an athlete, you can probably be fairly accurate with intensity prescription based on the athlete's physiology in real time, rather than relying on, for example, doing a lactate test to get a lactate threshold 1 at altitude, at whichever altitude you find yourself. So the idea was to do 3 bouts of exercise, or the first experiment, quote unquote, and we'll do a review of the data that we collected on my YouTube channel soon. Hoping to get maybe Andrew Feldman to do that with me as well. I think that'd be pretty fun to see what he can bring to the table, obviously, because he's looked at a lot more Moxy data sets than I have. Um, where was I? Yeah, first experiment, I did 4-minute work at 150 watts, which is in a moderate domain for me. Then I did a minute rest, then 4 minutes at 225, which is heavy intensity domain for me. And then the last 4 minutes I did at 300 watts, which is severe intensity domain. So we did that outside the altitude chamber. I took a bit of a rest and then went inside. And I think she bumped it up, worked with Amélie, who's the physiologist there, that's in charge of the testing and usually the altitude training with the athletes. And in the chamber, I think we were at 3,100 meters, thereabouts. And I did the same bouts, and I had Moxy on left and right VL, left and right bicep for non-involved muscle, and left and right calf. And so yeah, the idea is that we did those bouts of exercise in those 3 different domains in normoxia, and now hypoxia obviously changes the game. So yeah, I'm looking forward to interpret the graphs. Already made the graphs. I just have to pull them up and maybe draw a couple lines on a slide or two. So we'll probably do that next week, but be sure to remind me in the comments if I forget to post that, or if you're interested in seeing that in English as well, because we'll probably do it in French the first time around. So that was the first thing. And then second thing that we did that was not fun, uh, it was some sprint interval training at the same altitude. So after we did the 4 on 1 off at the 3 different intensities, that took a good 20-25 minutes rests, easy spin, and then I went back in and we did 20 seconds all out, 40 seconds off, repeated 3 times. I had already done that exact same session at home, so I already have Moxy data on myself for those, and so I just did it inside or at altitude, and yeah, same thing. Superimpose the curves, and gonna look at them when we do the analytics, and looking at the similarities and the differences between the sprints inside and outside the altitude chamber. So that was a lot of fun. It was a fun little experiment, little project, and yeah, they're interested in learning how they can integrate the Moxy into their testing and training approaches, especially with the altitude chamber. I think that's a really, like I said, really interesting to maybe quantify some improvements on the muscle oximetry side of things, and see what kind of adaptations might occur following a given block of training at altitude, whether it's at altitude or even looking at sprint interval training. I'd seen some interesting differences in changes in slopes and minimums and maximums following the little block of SIT that I had done a little while ago. So that was really interesting, and I look forward to checking out the data. I have an imbalance left-right. My left leg is about 20 watts behind my right leg, and so you can see that in the data as well. So it's interesting because there's the left-right difference at the different intensities, and then it's probably my assumption is that it's a delivery deficit on my left side. I had a hip injury for quite some time after I was weightlifting, and I literally could not do anything with my left leg for an extended period of time. So I'm wondering if that might be the cause, and looking forward to thinking about ways to improve that over time, maybe with some blood flow restriction on that left side. I don't know. I haven't delved into that yet. But anyway, seeing those differences left to right leg, and then seeing the differences at sea level, so to speak, and then at 3,000 meters is really interesting. So that was it. That was my little thought for that video. So if you have any questions, remarks, or thoughts on Moxy at altitude, feel free to share that below. And looking forward to sharing those data. Like I said, if you want to see more content from me in English, please leave some comments. Remind me when I fail to do so. I really want to share more in English as well. So I just have to be diligent about recording both in French and in English when I do record. So here we go. Thanks for checking out this video. Make sure you drop me a little like. If you're not subscribed yet, please do so because it's free and you can always change your mind. And I guess I'll see you in the next video. Take care.